Hey, everybody, welcome to Mat Men, your source for all things professional wrestling. I'm Andrew Zarin. With me on the couch, on a very naughty couch,
This is a dirty couch.
is my co-host, my tag team partner, Rich Stambolian. What's going on?
What's up, John? What's up, John?
What's up, John?
What's up?
You want to do that again?
Andrew?
Let's do that again.
Sorry.
You got Suncast on your mind. You got to keep that blooper.
I'm thinking about getting grub with the bub. And it's just,
All right, let's do that one more time. To Mat Men, your source for all things professional wrestling. I'm Andrew Zarin. Of course, with me on the naughty couch, Rich Stambolian. I'm not John.
you're Andrew.
I'm Andrew.
I know you. You're Andrew.
You know me.
You're Tandrew.
Yeah, we. This is a second take here. We were doing the show. I love to give like the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
I got to also explain where we are.
Yes, please.
But John, our producer, John Bub's producing, and I think Rich has John on his mind a little too much.
Always.
And
Always.
he's made up a pretend radio show for him called Getting Grub with the Bub, where he does food reviews,
And
where he
cooks.
hates everything except Chili's.
Is that his gimmick? That he's like, well, this isn't Chili's.
All right, loves Applebee's,
Uh-huh.
loves Chili's, loves Friday, hates anything that's Michelin rated.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's a good bit. It just made me think of that article that got sent to us this morning about the those knuckleheads that got kicked out of Chili's. Not Chili's, Applebee's.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then we both said, if you're gonna eat at Applebee's, you should be arrested.
You should. I'm sorry. I'm an Applebee's snob. We are live from Sapphire 39 in Midtown Manhattan.
Yeah.
My home. That's where I live. I live on that couch.
You do live here. That's why
Yeah.
your couch is a little funky smelling.
we have our night auditor Angela working right now, hiding and working, but she has a secret room back there.
Oh, get out
I got
of
to
here.
show you her secret room.
Yeah, please.
I'm gonna show it to you after. You'll be shocked what you see.
Is there like a cot in there? Like a sterno?
No. There's some crazy stuff going on
yeah?
in that room. I got to show you. But we're live here at Sapphire. I want to thank Sapphire, of course, for providing us the space for this bonus show we're doing here. For Patreon. Of course, it'll be on YouTube in a couple days, but we do have a lot to talk about. And you know, we did a show yesterday, and there was a lot of feedback from the conversation that we had yesterday.
Oh, fantastic.
Tons of feedback about some of the topics, and I kind of wanted to kind of deep dive in that a little bit. We're doing like a 30-minute thing here. It's more like a test to see how well this works, because I'd love to do more here.
Yeah.
We have...
You mean how well our chemistry works?
Yeah, like, and
We're
also
still
how
trying to
this
figure it
works,
out.
you know, because like this is like a different thing. I don't have control to anything. There's no computer.
Yeah.
John, I don't see what we look like. I'm just doing a show.
But it's a testament to modern technology where
It's
John
wild,
could produce an entire show. You
Do it
should
in the future.
Do a little John hologram behind the console.
That's
over
what we
there.
need.
There's nobody here helping us, by the way. Well, John remotely, but it's just us two.
It's just us two. I build it, and I do this every week because we have Brooklyn Chase, adult film star Brooklyn Chase, coming in tonight, performing at the club. So we do a podcast with her. Ari does this fantastic podcast called Backdoor Convos. If you guys are interested in that kind of stuff, you should check it out. It's on YouTube. It's everywhere podcasts are available. And I break this down every day, every week on Fridays. I put it together. I break it down. But my breakdowns are so chaotic where I just throw everything in a box.
You just put it in all one bag.
In one bag, and then I just hope for the best the following week.
Yeah.
But let's touch on some of this.
Sure.
Dynamite, very good show. Ratings came out.
Yeah.
They are, it's been interesting after the whole September boom that they had.
Yeah.
The August-September boom with CM Punk and All Out and everything else. They've kind of plateaued. And some of that is attributed to the West Coast feed not being on at the same time. Going on at 5 p.m. Pacific is very different than being on at prime time at 8 p.m. Pacific.
Yes. That's great for us. I'm going to interject.
Oh, yeah.
That's our heaven right there.
Oh, yeah. When we're on the West Coast, we absolutely love that.
Yeah.
But for most people that are working and not on vacation, gallivanting around,
Right.
I think it's a problem. But there's something to be said about those numbers where you have Bryan Danielson and Hangman Page, and they hit over 1 million for that hour. And then it kind of like went down and went up. But I think it's too much concentration on those numbers. I think once they go to TBS and it gets settled there, and I wouldn't say in January, right? You would say probably like April, March, when they're kind of there consistently.
For sure. I think, when getting settled is the perfect observation because I think, it's a new year, end of February, March, April. That's where you're going to see the real numbers, That post-holiday scramble always takes away from everything, I think. You have like the Super Bowl and like...
It's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. There's always a lot going on.
There's tons going on. But, a lot of people are fascinated with the whole ratings comparison between WWE. You can't compare a 50-year institution, 60-year institution.
Yeah.
You know, even modern TV, you know, last 30 years, it's been on the same channel consistently. Fox is a mega, you know, they were on Fox.
Yeah.
You know, people are in their minds, they're used to, if you're our age, you're used to turning to Fox in New York, especially to watch wrestling. There's been somewhat of a relationship in the past. I think it's not an even comparison, but it is interesting to talk about.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Do you think the plateau is just on AEW side? Do you think it is a product of 2020 going into 2021?
Yeah, 100%. I think a lot of it has to do with that. I think people's patterns are gone. You know, like
Right.
over here, I constantly talk about people's spending patterns, people's entertainment patterns.
Right.
The way people go out is not the same that it was in 2019. And everybody had a consistent schedule. You knew on Wednesdays you would go see whoever, or you would go to work or whatever.
Right.
Now it's
Right.
like, maybe I'm not working this Wednesday. Maybe I'm working the following Wednesday. And it's hard to get into a routine. Is Horny Harry texting you also?
Yeah, I was like,
Me
I
too.
thought it was somebody else. I thought it was like an emergency.
He's sending me like weird stuff.
Is he sending you nudes right now?
Yeah. He's always horny, that guy.
Oh, yeah. Well, did you talk to him about doing the special edition?
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
he's-
I haven't.
Okay.
So I just told him, I'm like, I'm doing a show. I'm doing something. So I think it's all an interesting thing to talk about, but where do you see it going 2022?
Ratings wise,
No, just in general, the product itself, like for both brands.
I think AEW will be forever. Not, I shouldn't say forever. I think AEW will continue to be on this interesting upswing that they're having.
Sitting in the million.
Sitting in the
flirting
million.
with the million.
I do
million
think
plus.
they're going to surpass that.
Where do you
right?
think they'll settle?
I think they're going to.
Because I got a number in my head.
I'm going to say just under 2 million.
You think they'll set by when?
March next year,
2023.
2022.
Wow, that's a
think they're
very
gonna be-
optimistic view.
I think they're gonna. It's very interesting because like I'm not a stats guy. This shit puts me to sleep, right? But I do know how I can personally.
But see, I like that
gauge-
perspective because you don't have insight on the numbers. It's just
Right.
it's just where you feel, and it actually says what you think of the product. That you think they're
Right.
able to do 1.5 million plus.
I think they can. I think this is an interesting time for AEW because everything is there. The talent is there. The stories are there.
Yeah.
Everything is there. These guys are pretty much healthy. They've been known to trim the fat on people who don't want to be there or people who are problematic.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like Tony Khan knows what he's doing. He seems like an accessible guy. You know, it's just a matter of steering the ship better in that direction, along with something else that we've talked about a lot, getting those two super top guys
That's what it comes down to.
somewhere in there. Now, I do think Hangman could be one of those guys.
You know, I don't mean this in a negative
Okay.
at all when I say this.
Right.
I see Hangman as Brett in 93, 94.
Oh, that's a
Because
That's
of
good
where I
comparison.
think the business is. I think the
Yeah,
business is in a weird place. Maybe not 93, 94. Let's go 95, 96.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're getting there. But things have toned down. You look at WWE's product.
Yes.
It's way more catered to kids. And great example, right? Hunter and Taylor on the couch the other day.
your kids.
My kids.
Yeah.
I was fast forwarding through Raw just to like rehash what's in my mind because Monday to Thursday it's a big gap, you know, when we do the show. So I put on AEW. They had zero interest. Okay, they didn't care at all that it was on, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to watch this?" They had no care in the world. I stopped what I was doing. I put on Raw. They stopped. But why?
Bright lights.
Bright lights, the visuals,
Cartoons.
They're louder. It's more of a cartoon, and again, not a negative. I'm not saying this in a negative way,
Very family friendly.
but that is all strategic.
Right.
It's not that it's the product just happens to be childish and that's why kids like it.
Yeah.
No, it is by design. It's set up that it's attractive to a younger demo that they could, you know, maybe indoctrinate's not the word, but they could
Yeah, not the
they
word.
could make it to WWE fans.
Right.
And those kids, you know, when they're 30 years old, they're still going to be familiar with the product.
Well, we're at the age now that we've seen. I'm going to pose two things to you. We're at the age now where we do know younger people who are in their early 20s,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Tons.
And who did it for them? Randy Orton and John Cena.
Randy Orton, John Cena, Jeff Hardy.
That was those were
Batista,
their,
yeah.
right, those were their Hogan
And that's so
Machos.
foreign to us, right?
Right. But those kids are starting to have kids, and then they'll be like, yo, when I was younger, it was John Cena and this and that. Let's watch this. And then it's going to be like, oh, Bobby Lashley, Kevin Owens,
Yeah,
So like
interesting.
WWE does a very good neuromarketing thing in that regard. They always done that. It's a generational tradition, right? Do you think one of the problems, and I'm going to use the word problem loosely, do you think one of the problems with AEW is that they're catering too much to the smart fan and not enough to that whole money pit of kids?
I think
know?
I think it's a number of things. I think they're catering towards a pro wrestling fan.
Right.
And unfortunately, we don't have 5.5 million, 6 million pro wrestling fans that will watch consistently. I think there is a great divide between the two products now. And some people don't see it. And somebody sent me an email and they were like, you keep talking about how different WWE is. And it's like, I don't see it. I'm like, but when you do see it, you will.
Right.
And it is a different beast. It is no longer even 2018, 2019.
Right.
The pandemic, they use it to transition more into a television product.
Yeah.
Instead of a live product. They relied more on the visuals and the setup and the lights and the big personality. I mean, they always had big personality, but even, grander beyond just a wrestler. And these guys, you look at their costuming.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Like
Seth Rollins.
AEW doesn't do that. Even like a Becky Lynch, right?
Yeah.
She has that cape outfit. I mean, their makeup is all different. Charlotte. One is blonde, one is orange, one is purple, one is green.
Right.
Everybody stands out. I don't necessarily look for that. But if you are now trying to attract a new person to watch, those things are going to pop. Those things are going to stand out. There's so much thought put in that you would be shocked.
There really is. And, the costuming, I think, is a huge integral part of it. Nobody does costuming better than WWE. And they've nailed, especially with the women. They really nail it. Like when you see Charlotte coming out with that peacock robe with all the stuff coming out of it.
Yeah.
She looks amazing. My wife, your wife, they don't care, right?
Yeah.
But there's been occasions where like I'll watch Raw and Charlotte will come out and she'll be like, yeah, she looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Like she looks nuts. Becky comes out, Bianca comes out, Naomi comes out, neon, colors, everything is beautiful, right? This is not a knock on the AEW women's division, but like you said, they don't have that glitz and glam, and everybody's essentially an Austin, a guy in black trunks.
Yeah, and again, not a knock.
Right, not a knock. I love it. I love it. I can't get enough of it. But the discussion we're having is like, how do you transition that into a more mainstream to get the ratings and to get the kids involved and like all that stuff? It's a very interesting.
It is. And listen, they're not.
Conversation.
I don't see them doing 2 million viewers. Raw, SmackDown on a network that has access to way more people. That's an easily accessible channel because it's so low on the channel surfing, the network television channels. They're barely doing 2 million.
Right.
Raw's doing 1.5. If AEW could settle it in about 1.1 to 1.2 consistently, and then they'll pop it to like 1.3, 1.4, I think that's a beyond healthy place for them to be right now, considering where TV is. TV numbers are dropping. I don't know if you saw the story that came out. There was a story that came out that they essentially were blaming the low ratings for the NHL to AEW being a bad lead-in for the NHL.
I'm not a hockey fan and I don't really follow it, so I never know where the hockey numbers are.
I mean, historically, hockey numbers are never great until the playoffs.
Okay.
But it is like, I think it's in the 200s range, 235, but they go on late.
Do you think there's too many channels? Do you think we have so much access to every single thing?
I think everything is competition now.
Everything's competition.
Everything's competition. You no longer compete with what's on the same time as you. You now compete with Spotify.
Okay.
You're competing with your text messages.
Okay.
There's so many variables that take your attention away.
Yeah.
That the amount of effort that you need to put in to capture my attention, like 60 minutes to watch a wrestling match for 60 minutes straight, I could tell you that most people do not want that.
You know what? You're right. I want that.
I want
You
that too, yeah.
You know, we want that. I think the people who watch the show want that. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. Can I give you a little aside over
give
here?
me.
And I don't have like ADHD or any kind of like focus issue, right? I'm usually very sharp. A buddy of mine wanted me to go see Eternals with him, the new
Okay.
Marvel movie. I looked at the runtime and was like 3 hours and 42 minutes. I was like, I'd love to go with you. I can't. Why?
Too long.
Because you know what? When I sit at home, I'm spoiled by being in lockdown. I don't really want to go anywhere for entertainment.
Yeah.
It's all on my big TV screen, right? I'll watch an hour of something. I'll pause it, go make myself a drink, have some water, come back. You know what I do after that? I sit on my phone for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Scroll, text who I got to text,
And then you go back.
and then I hit play.
Yeah.
Right? I think that everybody does that. I don't know a single person that does not do that with anything.
Oh yeah. I don't know anybody that watches. You know what I'll do? I'll do it with wrestling if I need to watch.
Right.
Like that Danielson match, I put everything aside for that 1 hour and I watch it. And I got to tell you, I love the match top to bottom, but it was long for me
It was like,
to stop and watch because I got to watch it.
Yeah.
Watch it.
I
I also
walked-
think nobody watches anymore.
right. We watch it. I walked away during the Wardlow match. I knew it was going to be a squash.
Yeah.
And I kind of was in and out of the Sheeta match, you know? That 1 hour took up so much of my brain power that everything else, much like the crowd that was there live,
Yeah.
kind of simmered down
yeah.
a lot, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot going on right now, and the landscape is going to change in
yeah.
2022. I think a lot of people are looking at this. The free agency situation right now is beyond something to discuss because I don't think we've ever had this influx of free agents that are TV ready.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Ever.
Yep.
Ever. You could build just on the releases from one company alone, you could build an entire promotion on.
Isn't that a fascinating term, too?
What?
TV ready?
TV ready, yeah.
TV ready
Because
talents.
a lot of guys are not.
Yeah.
You know, you look at NXT and you look at what they're all on TV by chance, but I wouldn't say most of those guys are TV ready.
Like big time TV ready. Like
Yeah.
Monday Night Raw.
Monday Night Raw TV ready. They're not. That's why they're not on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
But you know, like the the Acclaimed, for example.
Great
The Acclaimed is TV ready, but in WWE standards, they probably wouldn't be. They'd probably be on NXT.
I'll agree with that. I do think by those weird WWE standards, a lot of that roster is not TV ready. The Varsity Blondes,
Yeah, definitely not TV
the
ready.
Acclaimed, you know, but this is just going by that
By that
weird
standard.
WWE standard,
Yeah.
you know. Varsity Blondes, the Acclaimed, like you said, I would say like at one point MJF, at one point Jungle Boy, Joey Janela, you know.
Well, Jungle Boy is the best example. Jungle Boy at the beginning of the year was not. He was a likable guy, but now they've turned him into something that's an attraction.
yes,
People want to see him. People want to see MJF, but I think MJF is he's an anomaly if you really look at it. Like
he really is.
I think I called his like one of his early matches 2016, 2015.
When he was doing the comedy stuff,
No, he wasn't doing comedy stuff. He was Maxwell Jacob Feinstein.
right? Yeah,
And he was in Deer Park. It was JD from New York and me. We called his match. And I was like, this guy's fantastic.
Yeah.
Comes out with the Burberry. He never changed his gimmick.
yeah.
Never changed it. He's doing the same thing that he was 5 years ago. And you know what? That's healthy because now you're able to become the character because you've done your work. If you're in a company that's changing you every 6 months, like what's his name? Parker. They changed his name to what?
Oh, Harlan.
Harlan. There
Yeah,
you go.
Parker Boudreaux.
Parker Boudreaux. This guy went from looking like a Brock Lesnar
Right.
to now looking like like Leviathan.
Yeah. Original Batista.
By the way, if you really look at this, I see that by design.
I think so.
You know, like think about what they're doing right now because Braun Breaker's definitely going to be the John Cena of the next generation in that company.
You think so?
Every indicator points out, unless something goes wrong.
But like specifically John Cena. I was thinking like they'll make him like a Brock or a Roman.
Well, I'm saying Cena because he will become the guy.
He's not super likable. That's the thing.
Really? You
I think
don't think so?
I think he's likable to
You
the
think
extent,
you think it's the Uncle Scotty voice?
it's the Steiner genes where it's like not that he's an unlovable piece of shit, like, you know, like a bad human, but he's got that unlikable like quality, which works for him. It works for the Steiners,
Yeah.
right? I think Cena had that in a lot of endearing shit, that made you like him.
I've never found him to be a good promo.
Cena?
Like to me, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's very like maybe it's a little too old school,
Yeah.
Too goody goody.
Too rhymey.
Too rhymey.
Yeah.
But I'm very interested to see like what that next crop that comes out of NXT is, because we spoke about this last week. Name me an NXT guy that became a top guy in that company
Without being an indie guy.
FCW doesn't count, and without being an indie guy.
So you're discounting a Kevin Steen
I'm discounting Kevin Steen
and a Sammy and a Pac and like all.
Yeah, because
those
that
guys.
was just what that was for them. That was finishing school. It
Yeah.
wasn't developmental, and this was this. I got into an argument with somebody at WWE over this, where they called NXT developmental. It's like 2017,
Yeah.
and it was almost said in a way that was like derogatory
Right.
towards the talent there, like almost saying like, I can't remember. Maybe it was 20 when Nakamura was still there. So 2016, I would say. Yeah, it had to be 2016.
Yeah.
It was around the time we went to the Hulu theater show.
Okay.
At the Felt Forum. I still call it the Felt
The
Forum.
felt form.
And he was like, well, it's developmental. I'm like, no, it's more like finishing school. He goes, no, these guys are nowhere near ready.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, Shinsuke Nakamura and Samoa Joe,
Right.
two examples, are beyond ready.
The most ready. Yeah.
And he goes, and his point was, well, why isn't AJ Styles in NXT? I'm like, because AJ Styles had mainstream North American exposure on a TV show that did over 1 million viewers regularly.
Right.
I'm like, regardless of what you think of TNA. And I go, and the guy is an IWGP World Heavyweight Champion,
Which still goes a long way.
which goes a long way. But you know why it didn't go a long way for Nakamura?
Language barrier.
That's exactly what it was.
Language barrier.
Yeah, he needed that finishing touch, and I was like, that's so interesting that they saw it that way. But that's what it was. It wasn't developmental. So
Right.
who's that guy from developmental over the last 5 years, 6 years?
I think by saying guy, you're wrong.
A girl. Well, the women,
Yeah.
not even a question.
Right.
What a fantastic job they did.
All of them.
All of them.
All of them. Becky.
Anybody that comes to the main roster.
Right. Becky. Sasha. Bailey.
Yeah.
Charlotte. I'll throw Paige in there.
No,
even
put
though
Paige
she
in there too,
was
because-
like an indie darling.
Yeah, but nobody knew her.
Yeah.
Nobody like Bailey was on the indies. Sure. They all were on the except Charlotte. Charlotte is actually homegrown.
Right.
I believe Charlotte and Lana were in the same training camp.
Okay. What about Roman? Would you count Roman?
No, Roman is FCW.
Okay.
But he is homegrown.
Very homegrown.
He is very, very homegrown. So if you're talking about WWE developmental,
Wyatt?
Bray was Deep South. He was FCW.
He was FCW, but was he doing stuff before that?
No.
Right.
No, I think he was. But you can't. But those are like, you're still going back to like that's still the OVW Deep South
Yeah, 8 years ago.
and Florida.
Okay.
Like I'm saying NXT from 2013 on. 2011. When did NXT start? 2012,
I think so. 2011?
2011 maybe. I can't. The
Because
years are.
the earlier iterations were the game show.
Yeah, no. Before, after that, after when they went on. So
And
maybe
when it was
let's say
just on the
2013.
network. Okay.
Let's say 2013 on. Who was their guy that they developed from NXT with no big independent following that ended up becoming a huge star? You know who? I got it.
Go.
Baron Corbin.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
Baron Corbin.
Homegrown.
That's anybody else?
No, the epitome of the guy that plays ball.
Epitome of the guy that plays ball. Very likable. Everybody likes him.
Yeah.
I can't believe that became a story when I said that on the air.
Yeah.
That how likable he is, and everybody started publishing it. I think it was like Business Insider wrote about what a likable guy he is.
People don't really think about that stuff, I think, where there's a reason why people are on top,
Yeah.
and it's not an old school thing where like, listen, Hogan could have probably been a dick to every single person on the planet, but for that era, he put asses in seats like nobody's business. You know, he was the draw at that time, right? Austin could have been a dick to every single person because he was the draw. Shawn Michaels was a dick to every single person, and he was the draw, right?
draw.
I think now they create this culture. Who knows if it's real or not? They create this culture where you have to be some kind of solid person to have some kind of tenure there. Corbin, Miz, Owens.
I could tell you. I thought I said that to somebody, and they go, "Not really."
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you make us money,
Nobody cares what you do.
nobody gives a shit. Yeah.
You think that's the Jeff Hardy mentality, or like one of the Usos?
No, I
the
think
drunk
the
Uso?
Jeff story's sad because he's so likable,
Right.
and the Usos are so likable.
They'll forgive the little mistakes.
You could forgive the mistakes. I think with Jeff, it was more. This became a very complicated situation with Jeff.
It seems like it because
Yeah.
the drunk Us has been getting in trouble for years.
Yeah, but
I don't want to call him that, but still, it's funny.
I listen. When you're Roman Reigns' cousin,
Right.
You know.
You're made.
you're made.
You're made guy.
You're part of that family. You're made.
You're the Rock's cousin.
Yeah, you're the Rock's
You're the-
cousin.
hey, you're the Rock's cousin.
cousin. So I think it's an interesting conversation to have. But again, we can't. The fact that I got to think hard about who came out of NXT developmental
Yeah.
that became a big name in WWE in the main roster, that's not good.
But I think the company probably realized that, and that is why NXT 2.0 is going to have these guys.
Yeah, because they've realized that the independent wrestlers, and also like they got Ricochet. I absolutely love his in-ring
Yeah.
style. I'm a fan of his. I thought he would do such great things in
Same here.
WWE.
Yeah.
I thought he would have been fantastic in NXT. But a guy like Ricochet is not the guy in this version of NXT.
Let's play fantasy booking with Ricochet for 2
Yeah.
minutes, okay? If Ricochet was released tomorrow, would you say he would be a prime get for AEW?
I think he'd be a fantastic get, but what do you do with him?
TNT title.
Yeah, but again, what different positioning is that than he had in WWE? I mean, now it's like very bad positioning.
The ceiling is there.
But
right?
in early on, when he was doing like even like the North American title stuff, even going to the main roster where he was kind of in that mid card scramble.
He was U.S. champ for a little bit. Right?
I think so. I think he
Something like
maybe
that,
not.
yeah.
I don't know. But again, that's a problem that I can't remember.
Right.
But a guy like him, he's slotted in that spot. But that's fine. Some guys, you need those guys
Yeah.
to put on a fantastic match. But you also need in AEW, and we'll go into this. They need that next mega star. And that was the problem with WCW. Do you remember the conversation? And it's fascinating we're having this conversation now because in 1997, when they had the power plant,
Yeah.
everybody's conversation was they are not creating in-home talent.
Right.
And that's a problem,
Power plant. Yeah.
right? Who was running? Sarge.
Yeah.
The Sarge ran, and not Sergeant Slaughter, Sarge.
Sarge, yeah.
Who is their breakout star? DDP came out of there.
Yeah.
A bunch of guys came out of there, actually. But the main one was Bill Goldberg.
Yeah.
And you know what? That one guy paid for pays for the whole process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
for sure.
you got that top, like ultra top tier guy,
Yeah.
which is almost impossible to get.
Yeah.
Those guys come once. And again, Bill Goldberg, once every 20 years, you get a guy like that.
100%. All right. So the Ricochet thing. Let's go back to that
Yeah.
for 2 seconds. Why they gave him so much stuff to work with, right?
Yeah.
Entrance, costumes, etc. Boom, boom, boom. What do you think was the philosophy going into it where you could have easily made Ricochet
Yeah, big time.
the new Rey Mysterio?
Yeah.
Why not?
Lack of consistency.
Okay.
You can't have this guy do. How do you get over even Steven booking?
Okay.
How do you get over like that? You win one week, you lose the next week. You win one week, you lose the next. And it just becomes like that. Name me a guy that became a super high success from the 80s and 90s that would lose regularly. Every other week, he would just lose on TV. And not just lose, he would look like a fool.
Like
and
lose spectacular.
Lose, yeah.
That's a good question. I can't, I'm hard pressed to remember like that kind of jobber. Crash Holly, maybe? Who's still over, but like lost consistently.
Yeah, but Crash Holly was in that position to lose. Like that was the spot.
Tajiri, maybe.
I'm saying like a guy that got over. Like
Billy Gunn.
Billy
Gunn
Gunn.
and Road Dogg lost.
Billy Gunn wrote,
a lot,
but they were a good act.
Right.
Great act. But they were heels.
Right.
So a baby face that would lose regularly, that was put in a top position in the 90s.
Duke.
Ken Shamrock,
Okay.
but Ken had his thing. He didn't have to it's an interesting comparison to make because nothing is different, but everything is different.
I agree with that. I think it's just like how much oomph the company wants to put behind you. Like they put a lot of. Baron Corbin is a good example. They put a lot of effort into Baron Corbin.
Yeah.
Consistent effort from NXT, his transition from NXT to the main roster, he's gone through how many changes? And has
tons.
knocked every single one of them out of the park. Where he was the GM, he was the king, where he was poor guy, and where he's like the happy guy.
But now is that too many changes in a short period of time?
I think in the grand scheme of things, it's not.
Like Chris Benoit, bad example, but Chris Benoit, example, right? Same character from beginning to end.
Always been Chris Benoit.
Always Eddie Guerrero. Always been Eddie. Hogan. I mean, he became Hollywood Hogan, but that became like such an exaggerate. He played an 80s Bond villain.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah. RVD.
Same guy.
Consistent, right? It's interesting, man. Like, WWE is an interesting animal in that regard, where, like...
They need to constantly reinvent.
They need to... But how many times did they reinvent Roman? Once.
Shield.
And then this guy.
Babyface, which was the same guy.
Right.
And then this guy. But this guy's a whole... This is the guy that they've always wanted.
Whole new
And
animal.
it would have been impossible to make this guy happen. And this is where becoming a journeyman and taking your time and traveling plays a big part, because this version would have never existed 5 years ago.
I agree with that.
Couldn't have done it.
I agree. He filled a Brock Lesnar void.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I think the Roman... We spent a lot of time talking about Roman, and I think it's definitely warranted. I know people don't really get it, but when you look at this guy and imagine them pull the trigger on a babyface run with this dude, you already take that character, and then it's next level, because now he's the lovable guy. He's the hero. You know, he's the big hero in that situation. Hero babyface Brock Lesnar never works. For me, it doesn't.
See, I like this version of him.
I like it too, but the change is coming. Right?
Something's coming,
Double turn.
I really enjoy the Sami Zayn interaction. I didn't think I would enjoy it. But again, it's done as a spectacle. It's presented in a very... Like, me liking that has nothing to do with anything I would like on AEW. I like it because of the way that WWE presents it. I don't know if I would like it if it was done in another company, because it would be done differently.
Right.
You know, it's a very interesting comparison to make, but 2022 is coming up. I have no idea what we're looking at in September of next year.
Okay. That's interesting.
You know, this
from both companies.
For the landscape of wrestling, because you have MLW, you have NWA, which is doing studio shows fine. MLW is the number of... Do you think MLW is bigger than Impact at this point? At this moment?
I think for diehard fans, yeah.
That's wild, huh?
Yeah, I think
let's say it's a tie for number 3. It's a tie, let's say. You have it's wild. You have wrestling on TNT, you have wrestling on USA, you have wrestling on Fox.
Wrestling in Japan.
You're getting wrestling on TBS. And then you have wrestling on like these like secondary channels, which is so fascinating that it exists. But something's going to give.
Yes.
And I unfortunately I think the big surprise is going to be, and this is just, we're not doing a prediction show yet, but I think that New Japan is going to have a lot of struggles this year. I don't think they're going to recover once this is all over.
It's rough. I agree with you. Have you looked at the Wrestle Kingdom card at all?
Yeah, well, I saw that they put out the poster for New Japan versus Third Night, and then they're doing a New Japan versus Noah.
3 nights, dude.
It's too much.
It's a lot of the matches are filler that are going nowhere. But the Noah stuff is happening on night 3, so you're getting Okada and Tanahashi versus Muta and another dude.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. So very horny for that. You're also getting Shingo versus Okada, and then whoever wins on night 2 versus Will Ospreay.
But see, here's the thing. I think there's a major disconnect with the championship decisions that New Japan has made.
I agree.
I think Evil getting that title was the beginning of that.
But they were just like, uh-oh.
I think that was the beginning of, oh, wait. And then Shingo coming out of nowhere, getting the title. Mm-hmm. And listen, Shingo's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I think it came at a terrible time.
Well, Japan, I think, I'll agree with you where it's like you don't know where they're headed because they don't have, because of COVID and all the lockdown stuff, you don't have the influx of fun American talent anymore.
Yeah.
And you don't have the lightning in the bottle of your classic Bullet Club.
And that was it. But they can't do that now. It
Right.
ran its course, you know.
It ran its course big time, but I still think you could have some kind of iteration of the Bullet Club
Yeah.
with, you know what it is? Like, I think a lot of personalities across the board are very dry.
They are. And also,
Yeah.
you know what was a big hit? The UK indie scene, you know,
Took a huge hit.
it's dead.
With the Me Too movement.
Like,
Yeah.
well, the Me Too movement was the first one. That really, the Speak Out movement.
Was it Speaking? Speaking
yeah.
Out, yeah.
That really exposed a lot of these guys. Rightfully so. Some rightfully so. Some were,
Yes.
I don't know much about, so I can't comment. But there were a lot of these stories. The ones that I do know, you know, it exposed a lot, but it also exposed a lot about the UK culture of,
Right.
you know, just that underground scene, which it is underground. You know, that's just how it. Listen, you've been in rock bands, you've been in metal bands, you know what that scene is like.
Yeah.
Same shit.
dirty,
There's no
baby.
difference. It's dirty. I think between the UK scene taking a huge hit
Yeah.
for the last 20-something months and not really having any wrestling developed properly, that took a big hit to Japan because it didn't create the new talent. It didn't create the Western talent
Right.
that would be easier to go there. Europe hasn't created anybody really. They had to shut down.
Walter.
You can't have foreigners in.
Yeah.
Walter's who knows what he's doing.
He's the only like big Euro guy, I think.
And
that's
he
come out
doesn't
in the
do
last couple
much.
years. Yeah.
He doesn't do much. You know,
And Gato
Gato.
was on Impact a little bit, right?
Did he
At
do
some
that?
point, yeah.
Well, they have that Impact tie-in,
Grado,
but like,
sorry.
Grado,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
Gato.
Grado, not Gato.
Yeah, but like, I feel like, you know, for like New Japan, like, where are you going to get talent from? Where are you going to get foreign talent from?
The foreign talent always makes it more fun because the Japanese show solely relies on wrestling prowess.
Yeah.
You know, I think again to go back to the Bullet Club thing, that's what made it so fun. Where it was they were your DX and they were, you know, like your faction.
Yeah.
They were your NWO.
And it was a nice nostalgia run, you know, with guys
Great.
that you really, really, you know, and everything was tongue in cheek and it wasn't done before. And a lot of this stuff was, you know, gritty and it reminded you of something that you grew up with. And I think that's the charm about AEW right now because it reminds a whole generation of wrestling fans what it was like to turn on TV on Monday nights.
I'll agree with that 100%. Also, there's a big, big disconnect between their promos and WWE's promos and everybody else's promos.
You mean the fact that they don't stand sideways?
The fact that they don't stand sideways, the fact that they're unscripted, the fact that like, you know, like people always say like the magic of pro wrestling isn't necessarily the matches. It's
that, yeah.
it's the promos and like people talking somebody into a seat, you know? Take a guy like MJF,
Yeah.
right? He is arguably top 3 of the more entertaining parts of AEW because this guy's talking people into wanting to watch him get his ass kicked. You have tremendous promos in AEW, and I do think that's a lost art with a lot of wrestling. You know? Especially with WWE because
They're not wrestling promos.
It's so micromanaged that, you know, a guy like MJF would be completely watered down. You know, like CM Punk wouldn't be able to do what he's doing if he returned to the company, you know?
Yeah, because it's a different company.
And you have to, in regards to WWE, like I think you have to over years earn their trust for you to be able.
Seth,
do it,
Roman,
you know?
Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. You know, there's a long list of those guys. Brock could do whatever the hell he
You know,
wants.
but a Corbin, a Ziggler, a Bobby Roode,
Yeah.
by the book. I'm sure they work with a writer and they're like, well, okay. You know, it just, everything sounds the same. I feel like that's across the board, you know? Kevin Owens, I think, is the only promo that has uniqueness to it as far as like a wrestler goes, you know?
Interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up. This was a nice little
fun.
bonus show. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we should do these more. I could do it on
agree.
Fridays. When
love
you're
it.
in the city on Friday, I set up early anyway, so we
Love
could
it.
do something. Guys, that's it. I'll see you all later. Take care.